So she had helped me get rid of a splitting migraine when I was just a little girl through using visualizations and the power of my thoughts over my body. And just she had me picture it turning into a bunch of seagulls and flying out over the lake and disappearing. And my headache was gone. And that stuck with me.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us, Ruthie Renae with Quantum Field Trips. And I am so glad you're here because I have a special guest that you are going to love, I'm sure. If you've loved videos like this or you love this one, click the like and subscribe so you can be updated with new videos as they come. So today I have with me Sylvia Dahlia. She is one of my favorite people and has helped me personally through some of my stuff with hypnotherapy. She is a wife and a mother. How many children do you have, Sylvia?
6.
6 babies, and she's so good at it. She really embraces everything about motherhood, and she is also an energy worker, and she is a clinical certified hypnotherapist, and she just brings this beautiful package of empathy and understanding while moving through the hypnosis session with you. She's an amazing guide. So I'm so happy to have you here with us today. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I should point out that motherhood is not always easy for me, and it used to be a lot harder. So that's what drew me to energy work and hypnotherapy.
Oh, so healing and helping your own journey, and now you in turn, the law of the freeway, you're ahead, so now you turn and help others in the same struggle.
Yeah. Yes.
Perfect. That makes so much sense. Well, no wonder you're such an amazing mother because you've worked at it.
Well, thank you.
Okay, I have the same questions I ask everybody. I'm just curious about how did you find hypnosis, hypnotherapy? What were your first impressions, and what led you to become a hypnotherapist yourself?
I will go ahead and get real personal then,
Good.
and tell you that I had a hard time with my temper when my oldest children were really young. So my oldest two are 17 and 15 now.
Okay.
And they were, my third was a newborn, so they were respectively 4 and 2. And I just found myself getting irrationally angry and reacting far out of scope for what should have been my reaction to different things. And so I started using Love and Logic. Oh, I started that when my oldest was 2 years old, actually.
Okay.
Love and Logic, and then that one felt wrong somehow, or like part of it was off somehow. Looked for others. I got certified in like 3 different kinds of parenting modalities, and I was still having these volcanic eruptions of my temper. And I thought, this is not fair. This is not right. And I've done everything I can. And I finally surrendered and turned to God and said, I am not doing it. I can't do this. I can't. I've got all the tools that I can find in my tool belt, and I still resort to yelling and all these bad things. Please help. And the next day, I stumbled upon an energy workers conference retreat for women, and I went to it and was totally uplifted, enlightened, and received a lot of healing, and have progressively received a lot of healing over time through the grace of God, with energy work, and realized that there's so much to do with how we behave just according to our subconscious programming and the programs that are running. And if we can just rewrite those programs, then we're going to do a lot better, and we're going to feel better. And if you feel better, you do better.
Right.
And so I used affirmations, and I used meditation, and I was seeing such wonderful improvements in myself that I knew that I wanted to be able to help other people with this. And I was a little bit through energy work and with recording affirmations for them and recommending meditation and different ways to take care of it on their own. But I knew that if I could figure out more about hypnotherapy then and just understand it more in depth, then I would be able to help even more people. So uh, serendipitous lineup of events. I was led to a certain event where this one hypnotherapy teacher was there, and I turned around from picking up my name tag, and he was sitting there at his desk, and it was like he was highlighted. He was just, yeah, yes, exactly. Here's your guy, go talk to him. So I went and talked to him and signed up for class that day.
Wow, that's exciting. So you never had any of the weird fears that most people have with hypnosis is going to control me.
I'll tell you why. Is my mom she was training for NLP. And I'm not sure all of the reasons that she got into that. I know she had a friend who was a hypnotherapist. And for those who don't know, neuro-linguistic programming is very similar to and can be used very effectively in conjunction with hypnotherapy.
Like
But she was, what's that?
like a different terminology, language for the same results.
Yeah, the same principles. Yeah. So she had helped me get rid of a splitting migraine when I was just a little girl through using visualizations and the power of my thoughts over my body. And just she had me picture it turning into a bunch of seagulls and flying out over the lake and disappearing. And my headache was gone. And that stuck with me, and I was like, there's something to that, and I just filed that away in the back of my mind. It was just like, oh, that's possible and it's powerful. So no, it wasn't weird to me.
Isn't that interesting? Because, and this is what we teach and help people with, it's a program from your childhood, just like most other people have seen Hollywood versions or the stage hypnotist. And so they have a very different program running in their head about hypnosis itself. Thank you so
Right.
much for sharing that. That's perfect and amazing. And I also just want to touch on the how you were feeling in the beginning of motherhood with your littles, your olders that are now your littles, is that feeling of amygdala hijack. It's
Mm,
nothing that you can cognitively work through. And that's where I found that hypnosis is so valuable. You can use different thought models easily for the majority of our things in life. But when you come up against that irrational reaction, and I don't know where that came from or why I always show up that way, that's a sign that hypnosis might be helpful to dig into that subconscious mind and find out where that seed or that lie or that programming is. So
right.
thanks for touching on that. So I've asked Sylvia to share with us one of her favorite experiences with a hypnosis client. And you've found one, right?
Yeah. Do I only get one?
No, we'll have to make another video, but by popular demand, let us know in the comments if you want to hear about more. She's got hundreds of stories. So if you like this one, tell us in the comments that you'd like to hear another one. I'll set up another interview.
So I every hypnotherapy session is a sacred place for me because this individual is trusting you with memories and with part of who they are and why they make the decisions that they make that are sometimes so painful to them, often so painful. And it usually refers back to a time when they were vulnerable and they didn't feel like they could protect themselves. And luckily, I mean, thank God through hypnotherapy, we can go back and they can help that little child version of themselves feel safe and strong enough to stand up to whatever the situation was and overcome it. And so that it's beautiful and sacred, and I love it. So this one time that I wanted to share today, um, a dear woman who has accomplished so much in her life was feeling sleepy every time she would go to write on this book that she'd been commissioned to write. And just feel so sleepy. She just want to go take a nap. And we went into hypnotherapy. We went into her subconscious and pulled up the file of sleepy because I don't want to. And we opened up that file basically and found that tragically, when she was a teenager and she was very, very successful, very prominent. She had won a talent and beauty contest and was away from home and staying in a camper trailer. And her stepfather was there, and he was taking care of her for the weekend, and he was her guardian for the weekend. And he laid next to her in bed and ended up rubbing her in with his body and in ways that made her so uncomfortable, but she was so innocent. She didn't know hardly what was going on, and she just didn't want to face it. He was an authority figure, and so she just felt like I can't do anything about this, so, and I can't deal with this either, so I'm just going to pretend like I'm asleep. And eventually he stopped and she went to sleep, and nothing really bad, nothing, the worst didn't happen that night. But from then on, she had kind of learned this program of, when something's scary and I don't want to face it, I'll just fall asleep and it'll go away.
Mm.
And so we were able to go back to that memory and empower her little sweet teenage self to, she wouldn't share with me what she did to him to make herself feel better, but he couldn't walk straight after that. So
And this is in your subconscious mind.
in her subconscious, in her memory.
Yeah.
But after that, it wasn't real. After that, we checked in with her feeling of wanting to go to sleep when she was walking to the computer to sit down and to write. And she was like, it's gone. I feel excited about writing now. So that's one of the most recent favorites.
That is so interesting, and what I love about this story, because we all have tragic stories, most of us do, and so it's that, not that part that I love, but what's so interesting to me is that a client will come in, or even myself, I'll have my cognitive thoughts of what the answer is. Oh, I know it's this. It's probably this. And then what your spirit or your subconscious will unfold is a memory that has nothing to do with anything you think. And then it all ties together. And you're like, oh, of course. So did she have any recollection or thought that that had anything to do with that memory? Or was
No,
it
she
the
didn't.
process that came
And
up?
in fact, if I was just her friend, kind of advising her, and we didn't do hypnotherapy, I might have been tempted to just say, oh, what time are you getting to bed? You need to get to bed earlier,
Right?
or go take a nap before you write, and then you'll feel refreshed. Address the root cause.
Yes. That's a great example, because I myself, when I get into the fight or flight, my flight of preference is to shut down and go to sleep, or has been in the past. Let me say that has been in the past. I don't own that anymore. So I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of people watching this that can relate, and even if it's not a sense of sleepiness, you can relate to the fact that there's something happening and I know it's an avoidance, it's a chicken exit that I'm taking. Let's take a look at where this came from. So I love that story. I appreciate it. And thank you to that kind lady for letting us share it as well. So Sylvia, you're an active hypnotherapist. I know that there's are plenty of people watching right now and can feel your love and are like, this is the woman for me. How does one get in touch with you? And who do you prefer? Do you have preferences working with people, or how does that work?
Well, because of my own past, I love working with families and I love work. The drive to get me to learn all of this, especially beginning with energy work, was that I knew that if mothers' hearts were healed, then their children would be raised more whole in the first place. And I really feel like just about every problem in our world could be solved by a good, solid family.
Yes.
So I love working with families. I love working with moms who feel lost and hopeless, but who are still looking for that one last thing that might help.
Mhm.
I love even just working with people who just want to be their best selves, just want to be that little bit better, and just want to um, fulfill their best potential. So I love healing families.
Perfect. Now, with that, healing families, do you work with children as well?
I do. Yeah, I do. Children are a lot easier to, I mean, it's easier to just tap into like, what are you feeling now? And they're like, oh, this, and
They're
you
all
know, depending on-
they're that critical factor filter isn't very solid, especially
right.
the younger you are. So, and
Hmm.
that's that you can get a lot of insight into what's happening in the family dynamic with the children. So a lot of times I've found that working with children and a parent is always present, or an adult, an aunt,
Right.
uncle, older sibling, we can get a lot, the parent can get a lot of healing through listening to what's going on in their baby's head. So
Right.
I think that's beautiful, ambitious goal and desire to help heal the families of the world, and I absolutely agree with you. So if somebody wants to work with you, how do they find you? What's the best way?
Okay. Well, they can email me at sdalyai, DALYAI, at yahoo.com.
Okay.
And I answer pretty quickly, and or at least daily. And I would be happy to work with anybody who wants to improve, especially in parenting.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I'll post that email in the show notes as well. You are just an amazing lady. I love you to pieces. And thank you so much for sharing your story with all of our followers. I appreciate
And
that.
of course, same to you, Ruthie. You're a wonderful example of spreading the light. Thank you.
Thank you. So, one step at a time, one healing mind at a time. Well, thanks. And thanks again for everybody for watching. Until next time, you have a wonderful day.